Hello friends, welcome back to Makeup by MakeupBy, and if you're new, welcome. My name is Meg, and today we are all talking about base makeup. So I'm going to show you how to go from this to this. Alright, so this is going to be an in-depth explanation of what I like to do for my base makeup, what I have been doing for the last couple of months, what I've been liking. So if you're watching a makeup video of mine where I'm just doing the eyeshadow and I skip over the base and you're curious, this is the right place for you. So I am going to go ahead and just get started. One of the first things that I like to do, that I always do to prep off camera, is that I put lip balm on. I really like this Jack Black lip balm. It lasts a long time. It's really thick. It's really hydrating. Another thing that I do is that I lightly outline my brows. I don't have much to work with. I got them microbladed several years ago, so I have like the faintest bit of pigment still in my brows, and it's just easier for me to get this out of the way with, to have an idea of the shape. I do not like doing my brows before my base. It's just a personal preference for me. I will also take my lash curler and curl my lashes. I curl my lashes probably 3 times throughout the process of makeup before mascara goes on, just to make sure that the curl is really set in there. Now when it comes to moisturizer, I have a sample of this because it came in a skincare kit, and if you're interested in the skincare that I'm using and testing out, let me know in the comments and I can put the video out probably in like 2 months, because I really want to give it a fair game. You can kind of see I do have like a lot of pigmentation, a lot of redness, a lot of dryness, so that is what I'm working with my skin type and kind of what's going on with my skin. I've been using Cause RX because they are a little bit more on the affordable side, and I had a full size of this jar and I run through it so quickly, it makes me sad. I use it as my day cream because it's light enough but my skin feels moisturized. I've been trying out their snail cream because it's what came in like the little kit that I have, but I feel like I constantly have to like reapply it throughout the day because my skin just feels so dry, especially on my forehead and right here in the T-zone where I feel the most dry. Also have an eye cream by them that I like, but I'm currently out of, so I'm just lightly taking whatever's left over on my fingers and moisturizing around the eye area. Normally if I do my makeup in the morning, I will do this like first thing in the morning, but because I was doing it a little bit later today and on camera, I waited a little bit to put it on. But I do like to give it like at least 20 minutes to really soak in the skin, which is again another reason why I like doing my eyes before my base makeup, to really make sure that that moisturizer is soaked in. But this is the Propolis Light Cream by Cause RX. So that is essentially what I do to prep before I get started into my base makeup. And another thing that is really important as far as tips go, because this is an in-depth video, my products, you know, I think it depends on the climate you live, the time of year, but a lot of time like my products aren't room temperature. Like this feels really cold, and foundation and cream products don't spread as easily when they're cold. Room temperature is better, so this is another reason why I like doing my eye makeup first, is that I will take this and just like put it between my legs, or I will shove it in my pockets. Like my cream bronzer I put in the pocket of my sweatpants. And I also do this with my mascara because I find that my mascara applies a lot easier if, again, it is warmed up to room temperature. So normally like in the 10 to 15 minutes that I'm doing my eye makeup, my face products are warmed up, so to say, and they spread a lot easier. I'm using less product and it just makes the whole process go faster. So one last thing I want to mention, if I know that I'm doing my makeup for the day and I have some time in the morning, I like to pre-wet my sponges. So what I personally like to do, I clean my sponges every time before use because I'm wetting them anyways. I might as well take the extra 30 seconds to just clean them. This one I've been using for quite a while, so it is pretty stained, but you just want to squeeze your sponge under the water like 10 to 15 times and you'll start to feel the difference in the texture when it starts to get really squishy. So So I will do that. I will clean them with soap. I use the Dr. Bronner's bar soap. I love it. It works amazing for cleaning my makeup brushes, my makeup sponges, any of my makeup tools. And then what I do is I take 2 paper towels and I really squeeze, because you don't want this to be soaking wet. You want it to just be light and fluffy, barely damp. So if you have a couple of hours before you start your makeup, letting it air dry a little bit is also better. But if you don't have the time, it's totally fine. I just like to have this be like, you don't want to squeeze it and have any excess water come out of your sponges. So that is everything for prep. Without further ado, I'm going to do my eye makeup and then be back to show you all the products and how I apply to my base. Alright, we are back. I have my eye makeup on. It is time to get this base started. So as you can see, again, we have the redness, we have a little bit of dryness, and we're gonna work on covering this up to look flawless, but still look like we have skin. And there's nothing wrong with redness, and most days I'm not even wearing makeup myself, but when I'm doing like a dramatic eye look, I gotta finish it off with some face makeup. So a primer that I've really been liking is the Milk Hydro Grip. I remember when this first came out, I've been using it since then. I think I've repurchased this like 2 or 3 times, and it lasts forever. I really do enjoy it. I feel like it hydrates, but it also has a nice tackiness to the skin to allow the foundation to like really adhere and stick and not move around throughout the day. People have their thoughts on primer. I enjoy primer. I enjoy this primer specifically. It works well with my skin, and it seems to work well with most of the foundations that I use. So if it's not broke, don't fix it. I am also a big believer on cutting back on consumerism, and I use the same products, and that's why I'm making this journal video, because I'm using the same products. I enjoy using products until they are done, or until they are almost done, or until like they're just not working for me. If I have like a foundation in a shade that doesn't work for me anymore, or you know, sometimes I do get a little impatient with my foundations. I do enjoy testing different foundations out. So today I'm going to be doing the House Labs. This is the Triclone Skin Tech Foundation, and this is in the shade 070 Fair Neutral. So this has peachy undertones, and as I'm starting to get more pale, it's starting to like a little bit, but it still pretty much works. Estee Double Wear is another foundation that I really like. I like mixing it in with their sheer version, so that's another cocktail elixir, but I just really like how, like, this is like what I wish those 2 foundations were. And it's light, it doesn't feel like you're wearing a lot, it doesn't transfer, it lasts a long time, and I am just like filling time here while I'm waiting for like the primer to set in and like settle into place before we start putting foundation on, because you do want to give your primer like at least 2 minutes to kind of like soak into your skin before you go in with your foundation. But I really do enjoy it. If you want a super in-depth review, I do have that. It'll be linked up above. You can also find older videos of mine linked in the description box as well. I don't need a lot of this product, and I like concentrating it the most around my redness and then just kind of working on blending it out, because like if you're just kind of blending, you're gonna blend away where you want the most coverage. So I tend to concentrate it the most where I need the most coverage, and then just kind of going outwards. As you can see, I don't really have a lot of redness throughout my entire face. It's just on the center of my face. So whatever is left is what goes to the outskirts of my face, and that way you're also not piling your face with a bunch of product. So now I'm going to take just a little teeniest bit more so we can really get into this crevice here of my nose where more of the redness stems from. So I'm going to take like the tiniest little drop, and that I really like this pump because you can really control how much comes out. And again, I'm going to start lightly dabbing. And I don't want to build up too much product, especially around the crease of my nose. So again, I'm just kind of spreading this out a little bit, and then to help, I like drag my nose over to the side and I look up this way to like get into this inner corner. And I just go in lightly here, again, because like I am going to be using a concealer. I don't need to use a lot of concealer. I don't want to pile up product. So now what I do to get under here, is just kind of lightly go around the nostril area. So here you can see kind of like a split half and half of how I don't even think I used an entire, like I used like maybe half a pump total to cover my face. And then again, like whatever is left, because I am using a cream bronzer, I'm not super concerned on getting foundation like right up on my hairline, because I am going to be adding the cream there. So it's just thinking and being strategic about where else you're going to be placing products and what other products you're going to be using. So for me, my main concern is just really the center of my face, and then just using the leftovers on the outskirts to even things out. Alrighty, so the foundation is on, and I am somebody that likes to set my face with powder, but before we do that, I like to go in with the rest of my cream products. I prefer to contour first, because if you ever blend up too far, you can kind of clean it up with the concealer. This is the Fenty Cream Concealer in the shade Butter Biscuit. This is like questionable almost at this point, me using it, because I think I've had it for almost 2 years, so like it's most definitely expired, but there's so much product in these. I'm like, can we just have a little less product and like a lower price point? So anyways, this is like a very dense, thick brush. This is a Real Techniques 301 blending brush, and I am very upset because they do not make this brush anymore. And I know that because one day like all the bristles just straight up popped out of the ferrule, because like that can happen when you're washing your brushes. It just kind of like wears down the glue. But luckily my husband had like this really great super glue, and he was like able to glue this back together, because I am not kidding when I say this is my favorite brush, especially for contour. So I like kind of like a bronzy nose. I don't really get worried about being specific with my nose contour. Like to me, that's good enough, because I'm going to blend it all together anyways. I still really like the trend from a couple years ago where people would really cover their nose in bronzer and blush. So what I'm doing here is just kind of taking what's left over and going around my chin. And this is where I start to blend a little bit with the brush, because I do blend this all out with my sponge. I just like applying with this brush, and then when there's not a lot of product left, it's easier to blend. And I have bangs, so I don't really need to worry about my forehead or even putting like a lot of foundation on my forehead. But for those of you who don't have bangs, this is what I normally would do, is just like bronze across the forehead as well. So now that I have that set, I'm just going to blend in with the sponge. And areas where I don't want there to be a lot of bronzer, like around my chin, I don't want to look like I have like a strap around my chin. So because this still has like the foundation that we used on it, the foundation is going to help mute out the bronzer. So like the areas that you don't, or like the contour, whatever. The areas that you don't really want it to be super heavy, I do and blend out first. So then I'll go on my nose, because again, I don't want that to be too loaded up with bronzer. And I really have to compliment the House Labs foundation, because whenever I try to contour my nose, I can't, because the foundation would just pick up whenever I would try to blend any kind of cream product on top of it. But the House Lab doesn't do that. So it's just really super fast, super easy to blend this out. And I'm just focusing on always blending up instead of blending down when it comes to contour, to help give more of a lifted appearance. And like I said, if you ever go too far and blend your contour up too high, then you can clean it up with the concealer. And that's another reason why I like doing my eye makeup first, because if you accidentally smoke out your lower lash line too much, because I've been there before, I've gone too far in the lower lash line, I can easily clean it up with concealer. Now, a concealer that I've been using again for years, because it's just a product that I really like, I'm familiar with it, I know how it works, I enjoy it, it's creamy, it doesn't dry out my under eyes, especially because I'm getting a little bit older. I'm in my mid-30s, so like concealer and I are not besties, you know, like I was in my 20s. So this is the NARS Creamy Radiant Concealer. If you have a concealer, a cream contour, and a cream blush that you really enjoy, let me know in the comments. So I don't want to go in with a lot of this, because again, I don't want it to be super cakey. So I just kind of go in right here to kind of brighten up the inner corner. And I still have like a little bit of redness there. And then to help lift, I've been liking that technique. Like, you know, every couple years we change how we apply our concealer. And I'm going to do one eye at a time. And before I start to blending, I also don't like products sitting on my face because they dry down. They're hard to blend out. This is in an e.l.f. container just because it's an easier container for it to be in. But this is a RCMA translucent setting powder. Again, a really old school product, but I have so much of it and it lasts forever. I'm just going to keep using it until I'm out of it. This is another Real Techniques brush. This is like their contour brush. So I pick up the powder, I tap off so much of the extra because again, I don't want to bake my under eye. And I'm going to blend this out with a sponge and then immediately set the eye area. So what I like to do first is start out here. Especially because I did a little bit of a wing with my shadow today, I can really get underneath that to clean it up. And then I can kind of blend down to like add a little bit of highlight, cover up any contour or like whatever redness. And then slowly I'm going to drag this to my inner corner. And then again here. The key too is if you're trying to cover specific things up, you just really want to tap, 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 tap in the same spot until it's kind of spread a little bit and you're happy with the coverage, and then you lightly blend out the edges. And again, I'm not super concerned about getting into my inner corner because I'm going to be using eyeshadow. So again, you can kind of take this opportunity to shape your nose contour, which is another reason why I like doing the contour first and concealer second. So you can see how my nose contour has a little bit more definition on this side of my face. And again, I'm going to zoom in so you can really see. Ugh. I am not getting into like this under eye bag area, right? Like I've kept my concealer pretty low to here. You can kind of see where my wrinkles are, and that is why I like smoking out eyeshadow, because it kind of gets rid of like the wrinkled areas, right? Like because if you're putting concealer all the way up to your lash line and then piling more and more product, you're more likely to have that settle and get into your fine lines. So now I'm going to start to set my under eye area. And I like this brush because it's a perfect shape. And I'm going to get into here. I am now done with all of my cream products. And then whatever is left, I run through my brows. And this is something I should have said at the beginning of the video when I was applying my moisturizer. I do not run moisturizer through my brows if I'm wearing makeup for the day, because it's going to, if you use a pencil, it's going to make it emollient and like hard for like the pencil to stick. And you're going to notice that it's moving around, or like maybe it's not pigmented, or maybe it's not staying in place like it should. So having a really dry surface for your brows and then just kind of going against the grain with a little, about the littlest amount of powder that's left over is going to help dry that area out. So when you put the pencil on, it goes on so much easier. So that is probably the biggest tip that I have. So here you can see the difference of concealer and no concealer, and that's the only place I put concealer. If I put it in my forehead, on my nose, my skin doesn't like that. It's too dry for it. And I also feel like I don't necessarily need it. So I set my under eyes, I do the best job of that, and then I do loosely set the rest of my face with powder. I use this e.l.f. complexion brush I've had for like 10 years, and even though my skin is dry, after about an hour of wearing makeup, it's going to warm up to the temperature of your face and it's going to mesh. So like you may look a little bit powdery, you may look a little bit dry as soon as you finish your makeup, but in an hour, it will start to blend and mesh together and just look flawless and beautiful. So with all that being said, I'm going to finish up the concealer on this eye. I'm going to do the lightest coat possible of the powder all over my face, and then we will be back to finish up with the rest of the powder products. All right, I am back. I set my face. Again, I use the littlest amount of powder, and one thing that I do is I have this e.l.f. This is like, I don't even know, it doesn't have a name on it. It's like a, what is it called? Like a micro kombucha kind of brush. It's like very lightweight, feathery. It's not condensed at all. And I just use it to lightly dust off any excess powder, especially under my eyes. And I filled my brows in. I just put some brow gel through them. So I'm kind of like waiting for that to dry. So they're looking a little right now. But anyways, the next step is bronzer for me. And this sample is very sad. This is the NARS Laguna bronzer. I love this bronzer so much. I want to I saw someone using it in a video, so I'm like, did they come out with it again? Because like years ago they had a trio with their NARS Laguna bronzer, their Orgasm blush, and their Alabaster highlight, and I loved it so much. Like, it carried me through my 20s. So this is a BH Cosmetics angled brush. It doesn't have a number on it, but anyways, I pick up a little bit of the bronzer, and because we have that cream base, you don't need a lot. So I focus this again, instead of like contouring down here, I'm really focusing this like right on the edge of my cheekbone to give more of that lifted appearance. And because this is crumbly, it's a little bit more pigmented than usual, so I'm like really tapping the extra off. And because I have bangs and I'm going to be styling to them today, I'm not going to go over with the product, but I will show you what I do. So for my nose, I pinch it, and then I kind of take like whatever is left and just go along the sides of my nose. Like, I'm not precise with it at all. Like, I am very loosey-goosey, and you can see I'm not really kind of going and like blending and rubbing. I'm just kind of dabbing into place, and that's just kind of how I prefer to lay the product down, and without it disrupting the foundation. So again, if I was, you know, putting bronzer on my forehead, I would hit this area right here with the bronzer. Before I go into blush, I like to go in with highlight. I'm somebody that is stuck in like the bling phase. If you can't tell by the sparkles on my eyes, I love a good highlight. To me, it was never not a trend. I'm just obsessed with it. This is a Morphe M510 brush, and I just take my highlighter, and because this is like very highlighty, as you can see, I barely touch it on my skin. I concentrate most of it right here, and then whatever is left, I love putting on the apples of my cheeks because it just draws light to the center of your face, and I just love the effect of it. So I go in on both sides, and I do put a little bit of highlight on my nose, but I use my finger. I don't use a brush for that. So this is kind of how I just quickly apply my highlight. I take my pinky, I run my highlight on my pinky, and I just lightly dab it on my nose. And I don't really like on the tip of the nose. I like focusing it right here, like on the bridge. So it's like a subtle little highlight just added right on top. So I like putting the highlight down first because I like my blush to blend into it, because I don't want the highlight to look as obvious. And maybe it's just in my mind. I don't know. So when it comes to blush, I ran out of blush completely, and conveniently at the same time, Lunar Beauty launched their blush palette, which was the Moon Prism was the OG one. The Nude Prism is a newer one, and I really like these blush palettes. Like, I don't need to buy any more blush because it has all the colors I can need, and I'm just gonna walk you through them really fast while I decide personally what I want to wear. I do kind of like just a bronzy look. But this is the OG one, the first one that came out. This is like a very, like almost like an orgasm, right? Because it has like a lot of like sparkle to it. I don't really wear this. I really love the shade Spacey. It's more of like a taupey blush mauve color. Gravity is supposed to be more of like a bronzy color, but it just is like a little bit too pigmented, a little bit too dark for my skin tone. But I really love Pink Moon. It is my favorite shade in here. It's like a super light, bright pink. And I really like Twilight and Stargaze. Lately for winter, I don't know why, I've really been liking a more like peachier look, because normally I'm all about this and another shade in the other palette that I'll show you. But I think today I'm probably going to take a mixture of Stargaze and Pink Moon. We'll see. I'm still undecided clearly. So the new Prism blush palette is the newer one that came out, and this is what it looks like. It is a little bit different. We have some bolder colors. We have like a hot pink. We have a really nice like red orange. So if you like bolder colors, that has you covered. Here we have like two neutral shades. These two I've been mixing together a lot too, because like I said, I like more of like a bronzy look than a blushy look. And this is, again, it has like a little bit of a gold shift to it. It's more brown, but I'm a obsessed with pink prints. Like, this is my favorite blush color out of the two palettes. It's like this lavender pink, and it is super gorgeous, super pretty. And you can kind of see here in comparison, it's very similar to this Pink Moon color right here in the OG. It's just more like mauve and lavender tone, and I love it so much. But I think today I'm gonna mix the two palettes. I don't think I've ever mixed them. I'm going to actually take a little bit from this first one. This is Stargaze. And I'm going to mix in Peachy and mix them together and see what happens. Normally I just mix within the palette, being very adventurous in this base makeup video. This is like the very first blush brush that I have ever owned. So normally I'll take like 2 dabs like into Stargaze and then like 3 into Peachy because it's lighter. And then again, like these aren't very like loosely packed, but I just have the habit of always tapping off the product. This is like, it came in a travel size thing from like Walmart, and I've had it for like 15 years. And it's like my favorite blush brush ever. I love the shape of it. It's perfect for my face. So what I'd like to do is start kind of like back here in the middle, work my way up and outwards. And then what is left, I slowly start to bring inwards because again, I work really hard to cover up that redness, and I still have a little bit peeking through naturally anyways. So the blush I'm placing even higher, like quite literally on top of the highlight. So you can see how this is what it looks like without the blush. This is what it looks like with the blush. It looks more like the highlight is blended into the blush. And the blush never likes to pick up fully on camera. I always notice when I'm editing, I'm like, look at all this blush. And I'm like, you can't really see it, but trust me, in real life, it's a lot of blush. I tend to pack it on more for video and photos. So I just, again, kind of like non-strategically, just like haphazardly, like just kind of like dab it on. And then whatever is left, I just dab straight onto the middle of my nose. And I love it. Like I said, I'm looking a little bit dry right now, but in an hour, I will look nice and glowy and pretty. So the last thing that I am going to do for my base makeup is set it into place. And again, people have a lot of opinions on primers and setting sprays, but what I really like is a combination of these two. I really do like the Urban Decay All Nighter, but again, it's like a little bit on the drier side. So the Morphe Continuous Setting Mist kind of brings that life and like that shine and like hydration back into my face. So I spray this first and then I spray this one. And I also have this little handheld fan. You can get these on Amazon for a couple of dollars. They're amazing because waiting for your face to dry sucks. So yeah. I also do not do my mascara until I set my face. This is like basically empty, but I've still got some juice in it. And then you just let it dry. Alright, so I am back for finishing touches on this video. This is kind of like how the makeup has settled over the last couple of hours. I have my bangs down and styled, and just to finish up this look, I wanted to talk about lip products because again, that's something that's a staple that doesn't really change too much when I'm doing my makeup looks. So I already went ahead and lined my lips. This is a Morphe Love Bite lip liner, and I normally just put a gloss on top or a lip oil. A lot of times I won't even line my lips. I'll just use a lip gloss or a lip oil. But today I'm going to go all out and do the liquid lipstick, like the whole routine. So this is in the Lunar Beauty Liquid Lip in the shade Perfection. I love this shade, but if I'm being honest, I wish it was just like a smidge lighter pink, you know, just like a touch. So I will apply that, and then this is a liquid lipstick, so it does need like a minute or two to kind of settle down because it looks very shiny right now. But after about a minute, it will settle into a matte look, and then I'm going to top it with a gloss because I love lip gloss so much. And to top off, this is the Celine lip gloss, also by Lunar Beauty. I told you I've really been enjoying their products. A lot comes off on this, so I scrape most of it off because I just want like a tiny bit of like shine and glint on the center of my lips. And that is the completed routine for my base makeup. 9 times out of 10, these are the products and the shades that I am using. The only things that may be switched up are blush colors and lip products. Other than that, everything is the same. So if you ever watch my videos and you're curious what I do for foundation or concealer or whatever other base makeup products that I'm doing, now you have your answers. I hope you enjoyed this. Let me know what some of your favorite products are down below. I would love to hear from you, or if you have a different technique or a way of applying things, let me know in the comments. I would love to hear from you. If you enjoyed today's video, be sure to subscribe if you haven't yet already. And if you aren't seeing my videos, be sure that you're looking under the subscription tab on the YouTube app. And if you want to know when my videos go live, hit the bell button. And if you enjoy this, give it a thumbs up. I have to say it. I just have to. As always, thank you so much for your time and energy in this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you in the next one. Bye, everyone.